Hello and welcome back everybody to another unboxing video, and this time it is a fantasy game, Chronopia. Let's get right to it. And the story begins a very long time ago indeed, not only in terms of the lore, but this is not a game that was just recently created, but it is one of the game's target games published, and that was for the initiated quite a few years ago. And what got me into this is I saw on one of my social media feeds that the new edition of Chronopia is being delivered now after some delay on the Kickstarter. But hey, what hasn't been delayed over the last couple of years? Let's get into it and not ponder about, I want my stuff right now. Well, then buy in the shop. So Chronopia is a dark fantasy miniatures game. And when you look a little bit further, Target Games is one of the companies John Robertson, Adrian Smith, and a lot of other people were involved in. So you know that you are getting something really, really good. And what got me into this is the artwork and the miniatures of the new edition look really, really nice. And now going back to the first edition rulebook from the late 1990s, you can see here 1997 is the release date of this. And you will see when you scroll through the available Chronopia rulebooks, first edition, second edition, and now the third edition, that the current edition, the third one, and the first edition are really very, very similar looking in terms of the artwork. Obviously a little bit modernized, but a game that is true to its artwork almost 30 years after it was initially released. That is something really, really great. Now, further, you will see that this rulebook is rather large, although there's only 5 armies there. You have over 200 pages of lore, of background for the armies, of course your army lists, the rules, and so forth. Now, once again, this is the first edition rulebook, not the current one. I'm going to show the current demo rulebook in a couple of minutes. But first of all, I want to flick through this rulebook here and to showcase some of the dark fantasy artwork. And if you are a fan of things like that, yeah, very Balrocky here, these guys. And let's go a little further. The next one is, yeah, that looks like a devout risen. Yeah, I am not too deep into the lore yet, but that only means I need to buy the rulebook and start reading. And if we can get a modernized version of this, that is really, really right up my alleyway. So let's go and have a look about how this started. And Uhrwerk in the end of 2022 planned to release the new edition for Chronopia. Quite a successful Kickstarter. Unfortunately, not yet delivered. And if I understand correctly, the grand release is at Salute 52 this year in London. So if you are going to Salute, go have a gander and maybe play this little gem of a game. So as you can see, the artwork is really, really true to its original. It modernizes the game somewhat, but we are going to get into this. And most of all, as you can see, the miniatures are amazing. Yeah, so you can see you could modernize this a lot more, but it is very true to the original work. And that is something that people like me really, really fancy these days. Another thing that you will see is you can play with very, very few miniatures. The only other game that I am aware of where you can play with 4 or 5 miniatures, besides Urban War, which is sci-fi, is another fantasy game in Germany. You can literally play with 2 or 3 miniatures aside, and I think that was called Titan. And unfortunately, I haven't heard anything from the crew of that game in almost 10 years. So let's go to the rule book, and you get an A4 size, if I remember that right. Hardcover rulebook for 40 euros. Now, this is the Kickstarter price. I am anticipating a price of around £40 by now. And looking at what you're getting, I think that is par for the course. Whereas the starter box comes with 2 factions, obviously, and a small starter rulebook plus a PDF of the rulebook. Your token sheet, 2 dice, equipment cards, unit cards, and the models. I need to remember buying sleeves for those cards. What you get is the Devout faction, and you can choose one of the other factions in the Kickstarter. There was also an option to choose both factions here. And I got the demo box with Devout Followers, which is these guys here. And just one little word that now that I'm looking at it, some of you may remember the older editions of Warzone, and that looks very Dark Legion-like. I think they were in the same distribution from the same company. And my second faction is the Lotus Elves. I also quite fancy the Firstborn. So let's see how this goes forward. And my 2 favorite miniatures. Number 1, the Firstborn Chronomancer. Amazing. That's all I'm going to say about it. And the other miniature I really, really, really need to have is the Elven Dragonborn Cavalry. I mean, wow. Yeah. And the miniatures are either resin, that's what I got in my demo box, or Ceocast, which is a thermoplastic and seeks to combine the many positive properties of both plastic and resin. And so far what I have seen from both Chronopia models as well as the models I'm about to get from Urban War 3rd edition, it is a really great material to reduce cost for the gamers and the company while maintaining loads and loads of detail that normally comes with the higher price tag of resin. So that was the Kickstarter, and I tried to late pledge. This is why the second window came up. And here is the Chronopia website with links to the Uhrwerk shop, which does not yet have Chronopia, but more information about the game. Some beautiful pictures. And like I said, I can really, really not wait until I meet the team of Chronopia at Claymore in Scotland, once the largest wargame show. I think by now Caronate might be larger. You also have the download section, which I can really recommend to you. And we have the demo rulebook, SDL templates for your explosion and flamethrower markers. There is a comic, and you have files for different army list builders, for the army builder, for Battlescribe, and that is the guy's homepage. Let's have a quick look at the miniatures. And you have here a black blood troll. These are the orcs, the orky faction. And the crystal knight of the elves. That is the gent we saw earlier. And we have a larger miniature, the devout dusk realm demon. I probably need one of those as well for my followers to summon. And that is now the time to go to the Chronopia demo rulebook. First time I'm opening this. So we start with some really, really nice artwork. And just looking at this, here is the name we were looking for, Adrian Smith. And Paolo Parente, also a household name in games design over the last year. I quickly check if I know any of the playtesters, but no, I don't. So yeah, here is the start of story. And that is a Pulsar Knight of the Firstborn. It's a D20 game. Let's go a little further. And even throughout the demo book, there are loads and loads of references and illustrations to pull the reader, the gamer, into the lore. And I can say, well, first of all, it's a John Robertson and Adrian Smith game, so yes, I'm in. And the other thing is that the new crew for 3rd edition seems to really carefully connect the latest edition with the 1st edition, where everything began. And being true to the origin is another thing that really, really attracted me. Then, of course, the miniatures. And now looking at the rule book, you can see all the detail and care that went into this. These people really wanted to make a great game. And we will see over the next couple of weeks and months when I'm demoing this, whether the new edition stands up to the old one. And we're gonna have fun with unboxing the demo box now. And here we go with the demo pack of Chronopia. I just opened it, and that is what you're getting yourself into. I got a couple of flyers to promote the game. Then obviously the rulebook. A sheet of tokens for the game. I got this little deck box with the game cards. I'm going to get these out. You get 2 different sizes of cards, and one is here the equipment cards. Summarizing your miniatures equipment. And we have these unit cards here. We have the cursed here, summarizing the stats. An elf archer. The lotus guard. Spearman. The devout great swordsman follower. The devout followers. And at the beginning, the cursed. Now it's time for the miniatures. You get dice. And like I said, I have not any experience with the game. So this would be one of the cursed, possibly. Comes in 2 little baggies here. And yes, this guy has 2 swords. So it's either... No, that is the lotus guard, if I see that correctly. Yep, that's actually an elf. I am truly sorry, my dear sir. And as you can see, highly detailed. I mean, the detail's really amazing on these. So this definitely reminds me of the better quality resin that Protoss Games used for the second sculpts in the Warzone Kickstarter. Wow. Really nice miniature. Let's put him aside. Let's go to the next one. Also 2 little baggies. And that should be the elf archer. Again, very detailed. It will require some cleaning, but if you do have a little bit of experience with resin miniatures, that should not pose a problem. So if you're new to resin miniatures, please do be careful when you cut these off. Use a hobby knife. Trying to focus. Really great detail. That was the Elven Archer. And before you start fiddling around with them, do give them a wash. Hoppa. Here we go. And here we go with the next one. That is the not sure who that is. Has a shield and a sword that should be a devout follower. Yep. Wow, this guy is massive. Put it together. Yeah, he definitely needs the bigger size baggie. Dun, dun, dun. Here is the next one. Also looks very devout, but this time it's the Great Sword Leader. My goodness. Wow. Let's put this guy in one of the bigger baggies as well. So initially I thought I'm gonna give the Devout to my friend Mark, but they are beginning to grow on me. Now, in the interim, you get 30mm bases without a slot. That is very, very important. I know a lot of games with resin miniatures that you would glue on there. Do not take the time to make bases that do not have a slot, and you have to somehow close it, which is a constant pain. And here is the next one. And this is the Cursed. With his two-handed axe. I might have to adjust the spike a little. Yeah. Probably need to adjust the spike a little with hot water. But again, the amazing detail that goes into these miniatures. Wow. Another Devout. Now, some people are going to comment about the amount of flash and little skins here. In my opinion, actually a sign that these people knew what they were doing and they were giving the miniatures enough room to air and really fill the mold. And here is the remainder of this guy. Amazing. Wow. I think the Devout could be a candidate actually for my speed paints. And we have two more miniatures to go. And a little surprise at the end. Now this one I think is the Spearman. Yep, here we go. Here is the spear. That's going to be a little bit more difficult because of course the spear is quite thin and a beautiful shield to go along with it. but these thin skins are really easy to get rid of. Again, Protos resin experience will do very, very well with those. So, final miniature of the demo pack is the second Spearman, which comes in a different pose. And look at this. I mean, I can even peel it off with my hand. But look at the detail in this chainmail. Wow. There's a little line here. But I think if that's all that's bothering me, then I don't have any problems in this world. And here we go with the second spear and the second shield. Wow. Really, really amazing stuff. So, and I also want to thank Marcin, aka Martin Hood, for sending me this demo pack. And he put in 2 more miniatures. The first one is a firstborn longbow leader. So here we go. And that appears to be a different material. Yep. And this guy has a bow and an axe, but equally very, very detailed. Let's see if I can zoom in a little. Yeah, here we go. Wow. The little accessories. And yep. Oh my God, this fits perfectly. This fits perfectly. As it should. Yeah. So, I mean, even without any fiddling around before I'm even washing them. Yeah, a little bit of adjustment here, but that is fine. That is a longbowman leader. And every demo session at Claymore, if you come to play with us, you will get one of these. That is a goblin with 2 swords. And in my case, he comes with a 25mm base with a slot. But I think, wow, this guy is super small and super detailed. So for anyone waiting for the goblins, this is what they are going to look like. And that is it for the unboxing. And I am finishing with a couple of thoughts summarizing what we have seen. Yeah, final words from me about this demo box. As a demo box or as a starter box, an amazing value. The rules, I have not looked at them, but I am going to wash, build and paint those miniatures and have a game of Chronopia in the very near future. Now, my general thoughts about bringing back these games, it is needed for a lot of people. And anyone who says, well, that's a step back to the 1980s, to the 1990s, well, yes, it is. And that is a good thing. So let us all move forward with some great games. And I will see you on the next one.